Let's be honest, we don't know anything about our elected officials. They're hidden behind curated social media profiles and press releases to the point that they often seem barely human. We're here to break down those barriers and get under the hood of their real character. Our guest today is the Mayor of Point Pleasant Beach, Stephen Reid. My name is Scott Salmon, and this is Politically Driven. So I want to start off with speaking of food then. First question is a very hotly debated topic, especially recently, I think. What do you call it? Pork roll or Taylor ham?
It's pork roll. It's not even an argument. It's not even an argument. I don't know why people are making an argument, because it's really not even an argument. It's pork roll and it's subs. Okay, it's not grinders or anything like that. That at least pork roll and subs.
That at least I can agree with it. Grinders I've never heard it called before. I've heard called hoagies, but I've never heard grinders.
Yeah. Grinders are up north, I think, up in Massachusetts area.
Oh, interesting.
And then hoagies they call them in the Philadelphia area.
Okay.
But it's subs in New Jersey.
Yeah, that I agree with. I don't agree with the pork roll part, but although
I guess you're a North Jersey guy.
Yeah. Well, technically I would say Central Jersey, but apparently that's not a thing according to some people.
It is a thing. We are in Central Jersey.
Okay, that's interesting. You would consider this Central Jersey.
Not South Jersey. I'm in Central Jersey.
Okay, so
and we can argue with that, but I think 195 kind of splits the state in half, and I think just a little bit below that is Central, and then if you go south from like Toms River South, that's when you're in South Jersey.
So it's interesting because I think there's a clear line between North Jersey and Central Jersey around the Warren County, Union County, Somerset border, right around there, going out west. I think it's quite as clear down the South Jersey, Central Jersey.
You know what? I'm just sitting here thinking maybe the Pine Barrens. We should say from the Pine Barrens down South Jersey.
That's fair.
And then it should be maybe from Point Beach, let's say, up to Somerset, like Central, and then from there on North Jersey.
I think we've decided it.
That's it.
It's done.
It's done.
Well, I'll let the governor know.
Well, yeah, let's call the governor.
It's done, and we'll get it signed into law, and that'll be the end of it.
And he's a great guy. You know, we had him here on the Boardwalk. He signed a bill against offshore drilling, and so it was probably the only piece of legislation that I think he's done since he's been in office, where there's Republicans and Democrats are like just really appreciated that.
Well, that's one of the things, especially. I mean, there's so many towns here on the shore. You don't want to be looking out there and seeing.
No.
So speaking of the Boardwalk here, do you have a favorite ride or booth on Jenkinson? This is Jenkinson's, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know about favorite ride. Okay. I like them all. I'm going to say the carousel because my wife likes the carousel, so I'll say the carousel.
That's a good answer then. That's a safe answer.
I love all the rides. You know, the faster the better for me. I love speed, but I'm going to go carousel because Jackie likes carousel.
That's a good answer. I'm sure she's watching. She's going to be watching this, and she's going to say that's.
Oh, thank you.
You can get some brownie points for that one.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you about. You mentioned Hurricane Sandy before.
Yeah.
Obviously, the whole Jersey Shore was pretty well devastated by it. How do you think Point Pleasant Beach has changed since Sandy?
Well, we've gotten bigger and better. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
I mean, we had an amazing community. The churches really helped out and put people back in their. They basically fed them and helped getting people back in their homes. We worked very hard as well with the government and try to make sure that our laws were changed to make it easier to get back in their homes.
Right.
So that was very, very important. So why don't you go over to the light here and make a left?
Okay.
Go to the light, make a left, and we'll go into town.
Okay, let's do that.
But a lot of the houses, we just left an area that if you were on the east side of the tracks, your house was probably flooded. Okay. So let's say we had over 1,500 houses that were flooded, and it doesn't take much to basically ruin a house.
Sure.
Just a foot up into the electric, you got the HVAC, the electric, the floors, everything has to go. So from washer and dryers to anything in the kitchen has to go. So we had to work real hard to get people back in their in their place, and now a lot of the houses were either raised, knocked down and rebuilt, or they were just raised in the air. And so the houses, there were little houses at one time. Now they're bigger.
Right.
So that's fine. It's been a lot of stress for people, but we try to make it as easy as possible.
Yeah, I know there are a lot of places, especially as you start going farther down south, that there are places that still have not been rebuilt, and I think it's incredible. I mean, it's been what 5 years now, 6 years.
We have very few places that have not been rebuilt. You look around this town right now, you wouldn't know that Sandy ever came.
No, I was thinking, as you were just saying that, I was thinking myself, you'd have no idea. The name of the town is Point Pleasant Beach.
Yes.
I always found it interesting that pleasant was the adjective.
Sure.
Chosen. Would that be your first choice of word to describe this town, or is there another adjective you picked?
You know what? I wish I had the saying for the
point
town.
Exciting.
No, we are pleasant.
Okay. Okay.
We are pleasant.
Okay. Fair enough.
I mean, there's nothing better than being a mayor.
Yeah.
Maybe someday, who knows? Maybe I'll have an opportunity to move up, but I don't know if I ever want to.
Right. Yeah.
Because I have to give up being a mayor, and I don't know if I want to do that or not. I mean, if someone says I have a pothole problem, I can take care of it.
Yeah.
So, and it's all about helping people. I think that's why when you hear about people getting involved in politics or running for office, it's all about because they want to do the right thing. They want to do good things.
Absolutely.
Right? That's probably why you want to. Right? You want to do good things. And so when you do good things, you help people. That's what it's all about. Why don't you take a left up here? I want to show you the grammar school.
Well, what was it when you were a kid? What did you think you wanted to do?
Everyone always thought I was going to be a politician of some sort.
Really?
I guess I have the gift of the gab. I'm not very smart, but I can talk very well. So maybe that's why. But it just I was student council president, so I always liked being a leader of things, whether it's football captain or wrestling captain, whatever it is. I was always out there in front, and always trying to help people, always trying to lead. But when I moved back to town, I moved away for a few years. So when I moved back to town with my, just thought it'd be a great place.
Did you grow up in town then?
Yeah, I grew up town here. This is my Antrim school here, G. Harold Antrim Elementary School. I went here along with my brothers, my three other brothers, and then graduated high school at Point Beach High School, and I was able to wrestle and play football. And
were you any good?
I had my 15 minutes.
Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah, I did very well.
Well, then you were thinking about politics then from a relatively early age.
No, yeah. So when I moved into town,
left or the right?
Right. Let's go right. When I moved back into town with Jackie and Evie, there was there was a mayor here. I went to a meeting and my mother was a councilwoman in this town, and I remember all these great memories growing up in town, and I noticed there was a change in the tenor of the mayor and council, and I wanted to make a difference. I said, you know what, this town can be better, and it should be better, and so that's why I decided to run. I lost by 27 votes, which is not
27.
fun.
Those are the ones that haunt you.
It's brutal. It's brutal.
Because you can question anything you did.
No, you gotta, and you know what? You never learn from winning. Okay, so I lost, but I learned, and I was appointed as a councilman, and so I just started working on helping people, working on my record, and so when I ran again, even though I grew up here, a lot of people moving from other places, so they know who I was. So, but after serving as a councilman for 4 years, and I was able to run, people knew who I was, and they appreciated my spirit and my ideas of where I thought this town should go.
Now, it feels like every year now we have one of these 100-year storms. Does it ever concern you that you're the mayor of a town that possibly may not be here in 50 years?
Well, God, I hope
that's a little bit of a loaded question.
Yeah,
but
no, it's really loaded. But no, I mean, listen, the real problem was after Sandy, we had a lot of flooding still going on, and so we didn't know what was going on. We had a camera go into all our sewers to make sure that there wasn't sand in there and stuff. So we do have now, we do have flooding in our town. We always have, and that's not going to change. But we have dredged the lake, so it is going to be better. But really, at the end of the day, we're flooding a little bit more than what we used to. Yeah.
So I want to go back for a second. You mentioned that your mother was a town councilwoman.
Yeah. She was a councilwoman for years, and again, her and my father gave back to this town big time. I mean, they're in the Little League. We have a field Little League here in town, and they're in the Hall of Fame because he was this great coach and put many years coaching, and she ran the snack stand and everything else. So they were head of the PTO and head of the Little League. So for me, it was all about giving back, and that was very important for me. And,
well, I'm curious. Were you a part of those political conversations when you were growing up? Was politics something that was discussed at the dinner table, or?
Scott, I don't remember sitting down really talking issues with my mom and dad, but I know that I always heard what was going on, and my mom was she was one of the people who brought great events into the town, and when I was a kid, the most look at the left here, one of the things we had the boat race, the Benihana boat race.
Okay.
So when I became mayor, I said I want to bring back that boat race, and so we've done it. It's been the third year now, and it brings people in, and it helps out the hotels and motels,
right?
It helps out our businesses, and the racers. When you talk to them, they love Point Pleasant Beach. They love racing in the Jersey Shore. So we have 2 trolleys. We work with the Chamber of Commerce, and they work really hard by getting the businesses to advertise on the trolley, and by doing that, it pays for the trolleys, and so everyone can basically get on the trolley for free and circle around the town. So that was a lot of fun. So everything I'm doing is like fun stuff.
Right. What's your earliest political related memory? Whether it was your mother or something with your mother or something else.
I think when I ran for student council president.
Okay.
It was really a funny thing.
Was this in high school?
Yeah, it was in high school. It was my senior year. I ran for student council president, and I won. And we had the school all came down to the gym, and we were able to give our speeches. And after I gave my speeches, I had these 3 or 4 people. They opened up signs, read for student council president, and then I had the music blasting, dun, 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 So it was.
You made it a whole show.
Yeah, it was a show, and it was fun, and I won. I think I promised at the time. And I've learned something that you really can't promise things like that. But I did promise a soda machine in the. In the cafeteria.
Did you have any idea what was going to be involved in getting a soda machine?
No, I had no idea. But it was really great because that position put me on the school board. I was the liaison to the school board, so I had to go to the meetings. I had to wear a tie and listen up and put in my 2 cents, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, did you have a slogan or like a motto or something for the campaign?
I must have,
So I ran
free soda for everybody.
Free soda for everyone. Okay. So when I ran I was the student class president of my high school too, and my slogan was "One fish, 2 fish, vote for this fish." Scott's Salmon President with the Dr. Seuss logo, with my face photoshopped onto the fish.
Fantastic.
It was perfect for someone with the last name of Salmon. I think I also used "It takes a salmon to lead a school." That was another one I used.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
That's great.
I wish I could use those now, but
you can.
Yeah.
You can.
Is Jenkinson a person?
It was Oral Jenkinson, and he sold it to a gentleman named Pastorino. So the Storino family runs it now. They do an amazing job.
It's like half the town is named after Jenkinsons.
Well, yeah. Well, remember, at one time this is a very small little town, little fishing village, and now it's grown. So a lot of the roads and everything else are named after people who basically developed this town.
So I understand that you worked for former governor, for New Jersey Governor Todd Whitman.
Yeah.
When did you work for her?
All right, well, it's such a great story, and she was really a great leader. When I got out of college, I was able to get a position with her as her driver and personal assistant.
Was that when she was governor? Or?
No, she was with the Board of Public Utilities.
Okay.
And she was there for 2 years, and so I was not only her driver, but I took care of her special projects and her constituent letters and things like that. One of the greatest stories I want to tell you.
Yeah.
So in 1990, she's running against Bill Bradley. Every 2 weeks, she puts out a position paper on taxes, on you name it. She put out a position paper because that's what you do, right? So we're coming into September, and we're getting no press whatsoever. Right. No one cares about Christy Whitman. No one knows who she is.
Were there even any polls?
No, there's no polls. First of all, Christy, Bill Bradley raised $10 million. Christy raised $1 million. We had really like 3 people in the office, and it was me, Christy, out on the street every day. So so we try to come up with something that we could really get the press
excited about and attached
right?
to, yeah.
Yeah. So we put out the 10 top tuna melts in New Jersey. Ooh. So the funny thing was, do you
remember what was number 1?
No. I know that.
I'm making really reach here.
Let's take it right up here. We'll go around. No.
Up there.
Yeah, up there. The funny thing was, the most overrated one was Denville. Okay, so remember what's his name, who is the comedian? He's the one who did the top 10, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So he goes, oh, the most overrated one. So we did most overrated was Denville. Of course, that's where Bill Bradley lived.
Right.
So we put out, because we were laughing because we're like, come on, we got to come up with something funny. Because really, we were traveling around the state, all over the state, and I could tell you every diner, every restaurant we went to, we really did have tuna melts.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we would have tuna melts. It'd be like a quick meal, and then we were out on the road again. And so we said, all right, let's put out like the top 10 tuna melts. Yeah. And wouldn't you know it, we got more press
I'm sure.
on the top 10 tuna melts.
I have no
and
doubt.
The press secretary was going ballistic for Bill Bradley, because he was like, holy, you can't get a tuna melt at Lorenzo's. And then, of course, Lorenzo's was this great restaurant. Like, I take it right here.
If you know the chef, you can get whatever you want.
Yeah, right. Lorenzo's was this great restaurant in Trenton. That's where all the lobbyists and all the people would go, right? And it was cash only at one time. It's not there any longer. But she says, you know, so she was in like a debate with these reporters and the press secretary, and she said very simply, like, all you have to do is ask for it, you know. But it was just really funny, because it was sad to a point that out of all the issues you could talk about or get press, it was really about the top 10 tuna melts.